I'm going to walk you through a process that I might go through in order to determine whether or not this article that I found in the library's research databases is a quantitative study. So first, we should know that quantitative studies are those that are based on scientific experiments that analyze numeric data. Before you go about evaluating anything that you found, it's important to have an understanding of the features of quantitative articles. So review your assignment materials or seek some more information about quantitative studies before you go about trying to evaluate. So the first thing I notice about this particular article is the title here, A Pilot Thoracic Exercise Program Reduces Early Sternal Pain Following Open Heart Surgery. The title itself implies that there was a question, a research question, and we're getting a little snippet of the results of the study here, even in the title. I also notice up here in the upper left corner that this article is headed with research along the top, so that's a good indication to me that this is a research study. The next thing I often do when evaluating scholarly articles is scroll to the end to look for a list of references. So anytime any scholars have conducted research experiments, they first review all of the other studies that pertain to their own research question, things that other folks have done, and then they list those studies at the end as well as in the body of their paper. So I can see that there's a long list of references consulted by these researchers. I'll go back up to the top. The third thing I often do is look for an abstract or a summary of what the article might be about. And in this particular article, we have it nicely laid out with the different components that are very common to quantitative research studies. We have an aims, method, findings, and conclusions section. So aims, I would guess that this is probably going to tell me what the research question or the hypothesis of the researchers are. Methods is going to tell me how they conducted the study. It might give me some information about the sample or groups analyzed. And I'm noticing as I browse over this that we've got two groups, group one and group two. So that bodes well for a quantitative study. They've established a research question and they've done an experiment and they're comparing the results between group one and group two. Next, I have a findings section. Sometimes this is also called results in different articles. This is where they're going to tell you the outcome of the research that they've conducted. And then a conclusions section. This is sometimes also called discussion, where the researchers try to go a little bit further and explain some conclusions that they might be able to draw from the results of their study. So sometimes you'll have that nicely laid out in the abstract, those different sections, which are quite common to quantitative research, but other times you'll have to scroll through the article and look for headings that indicate that the article is laid out in that way. I don't see a heading here at the beginning, but I can see that already the researchers are referencing other studies that have been done. And as I scroll down, I now see that we've got a heading for the methods section of the article, along with some definitions of terms that the researchers are trying to establish. We have subheadings under methods, which include descriptions of the participants in the experiment. We have outcomes discussed, interventions, which indicate that the researchers have set up a study and then experimented with different interventions. And as we continue to scroll, we also see some tables that compare numeric data, results for different components for group 1 and group 2. As I continue to scroll, I see the word statistical analysis. That's at the core of quantitative studies. They're based on statistical analysis of numeric data that comes from the experiment. So that's another good indication that what we're looking at is a quantitative study. And I continue to scroll and see more numeric data analyzed between the two groups for different pieces that the researchers have measured. As I scroll down, I come to the findings section, sometimes also labeled results, and a different discussion of the results that have been found. I see indications of statistical analysis. Here in the parenthetical references, I have percentages and so on, references to the different tables that they've displayed. And as I continue to scroll, I now come to the discussion section where they are discussing some of the results and conclusions. And as I continue down, I see a brief conclusion section as well. So this article has the components of a quantitative study. If I were now to come back and go and read the rest of this article, I would likely start with the introduction to get a great idea about what the researchers are trying to explore. I would then come to I would look at the graphs and try to interpret some of the results, and I would look at the findings section second, as well as the discussion and conclusion, and then I might come back to the middle of the article and read about how the study was conducted, the sample, and so on. Often researchers will start with the abstract. They will read the introduction to get an idea about what the study is trying to conduct, what research the study is trying to conduct. Then they skip to the end of the article to get an idea about the results and the conclusions, and then they go back to the middle of the article to explore the methods of the study. That's a very common way to read. So I hope that this will help you to determine whether or not the articles that you find are quantitative studies.